Once upon a time there lived a shy little lad by the name of Mark. Mark lived in a small village of Lake Orion with a population common of tiny villages at the time, no bigger than 400 heads. In this town there also lived a mean kingpin who dominated the village and demanded taxes from the poor villagers who could barely afford to feed themselves. Now while no one dared challenge the beast of Lake Orion, who snarled and growled at everyone who came by his not so humble abode, everyone hated him. Under the dark of night, the townsfolk would speak nervously in low voices about leaving town or not paying the beast's taxes, but no one could work up the courage to do it, as they all thought, who could possibly survive the wrath of that malicious beast? No one. In reality, it was no one, or so they thought. One day, our tiny hero Mark was walking down the street when he heard a pleading from one of the deepest alleyways in town. Curious, Mark trepidatiously walked closer to the source of the pleading. Not wanting to be seen, Mark slinked around the corner, nervously tugging on his overalls. When his eyes adjusted to the dark, what he saw made little Mark's heart sink. The big nasty beast who all of the town talked about in hushed voices cornered the little figure of what Mark could only assume was little Bo Peep. "Oh, Mr. Beastie, I'll pay you back, I swear it," Peep said sheepishly. "I just need these few nickels for my sick grandma is all. I'll pay your tax, I swear it." The beast donned a gnarly grin, exposing his long, vicious teeth, drooling with spit. "Shh, shh, Miss Peep." The beast inched closer and closer while licking his lips. "There are more ways than one that you can pay me if you do not have money." His words dripped a malevolent poison and began to stretch his claws, sharp as a blade. Mark sat petrified, but realized he could wait no longer. Before thinking about what he was saying, Mark blurted out and ran forward. "Hey, Beastie!" The beast turned his attention loomingly to Mark, irritated with his interruption. "This doesn't concern you, little boy," the beast shot at Mark, who now made great efforts to seem as small as possible. Through his shaky voice, Mark managed to speak. "She shouldn't have to pay. None of us should pay your stupid tax." Although very shaky, Mark spoke with force, and he was sure his voice must have carried beyond the deep alley he found himself in. The beast at first did not answer, and instead crouched so that he was level with little Mark's boyish figure. "And just what do you think you're going to do about it?" The beast grinned once again, revealing his more than human incisors, sharp as tacks. Mark slinked backwards a few steps, not sure what he had gotten into. I, I think I should make an example of you, little boy, to show the village that not paying is not an option." The beast rubbed his claws together, making a sickening screech. By now, Mark thought he was done for, but just as the beast came inches from his face, he heard footsteps pulling behind him. "Beast!" One of his friends yelled from the entrance of the alleyway. Both the beast and Mark turned to see him. "Why don't you both come out here and settle this for the whole town to see?" "What a splendid idea," the beast replied, while taking great steps to the entrance of the alley. Mark followed behind, shaking in his boots from what he believed was about to transpire. How could he have been so stupid as to challenge the beast on his own turf? Once out of the alley, the frail boy and the mighty beast turned and faced each other. The whole town had gathered and watched in terror for the boy that was soon to be obliterated. When the fight came time, the little boy thought he was dead for sure, and so with his last words he spoke up, addressing the town. "This beast is mighty. I cannot defeat it alone." The townspeople looked dumbfounded. "But together we can defeat this beast and his sickening injustices. We should not pay this villain our hard-earned money, or bend to his rule." The townspeople began to stir, and the beast stalled, for the first time in a long time, sporting a look of confused worry. "Please, we can end this right here and now," the boy pleaded. The townspeople at first said nothing, and stood like statues, unmoving. But out of the crowd, little Bo Peep, whom Mark had just saved, stepped forward. "I'll help." Her girlish young voice peeped up. The boy and the girl stood hand in hand, looking around at the crowd that had amassed before them. First by ones, then by tens, the crowd moved to reinforce the kids who had found themselves at the forefront of the movement. Mark turned slyly to address the beast. "Come now, let's make an example of him." The townsfolk barreled down upon the beast, who was no match for the mob of people fed up with his unjust rule and demands. The affair was short, and not so bloody, and when the dust settled, all that was left was a heap of fur and the smiling townspeople. When they had all dispersed, little Bo Peep went up to Mark, who sat lazily from the hammock. "I'm glad you spoke up for us. You're a true friend." Mark smiled and dozed off to sleep, content with the day and hopeful for the summer to come.